Hello, good evening. How are you? Hi, this is Mitch here. And today we are on live at HEN. HEN is a Her Entrepreneurial Network, a platform to bring Indian women entrepreneurs together to inspire, inform, and support. Today, an interesting conversation that I'm going to have with Rukmani Ganapathy, who's a psychologist and a career counselor. Hi, Rukmani, welcome.
Hi, hi Mitch. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. So, Rukmini, very interesting topic that we have today. But then I kind of was thinking about it last few days, and every time we have heard the word counselor or counseling, there's so much negativity that we've always seen, or if I'm maybe wrong to use the word taboo around it. There are a lot of things that comes around just using the word counselor or a counseling per se onto it, right? But there are a lot of others ways to look at it, or from a positive side, I would say, to look at it. So how did you get into this, and what has happened in your life for you to become a counselor?
So just to answer you, Mitch, so counseling is a professional guidance process, okay, where you have a trained counselor who helps you individually explore their thoughts, emotions, and challenge. Okay, so that's brief about the counseling. And with respect to my journey, so my journey has been a transformative one. So after completing my MBA with 12 years of experience in IT industry, I took a break to focus on my family. And when I was ready to re-enter the workforce, I was very sure that I wanted a change. So I was exploring various options, like getting into web designing, digital marketing. Since I was in the IT, so I was trying to explore related areas. But again, that didn't interest me again. So this led me to a journey of self-discovery, which ultimately guided me to pursue a career in career counseling and psychology.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Okay. So what was that shift? I mean, as you said, you looked at different options or different professionals that you could get into. But what made you choose career counseling as your second calling?
So when I was away from this corporate world, it gave me time to evaluate what really fulfills me. So I realized, that I enjoyed problem solving. I found a deeper satisfaction in helping people grow and succeed in their careers. So I wanted a career that offered meaning, impact, and balance. So
Interesting.
sometimes I feel a break isn't about stepping back, it's about stepping forward in the right direction. So this allowed me to do the transition into a career that is not just a job, but a passion driven purpose.
Interesting. And what are the target audience groups that you work with?
So I work with school, college students, early mid-career professionals, and women who are returning to work after a career break.
Interesting. So for students, colleges, we have definitely heard. I mean, while we were growing up, probably interacted with someone to look at a course or which college, etc. on that. So does that align with the same career counseling that you also give it for students and parents, or is there a difference?
So there is a difference, Mitch. So there's always this overlapping, between a career counselor and academic counselor. So a
Okay.
career counselor tries to understand what fits in well for a candidate based on their traits, based on their personality, interest, skills, and try to help them with a related domain again, which aligns to their personality, interest, and skill. Whereas an academic counselor is more towards helping them with a study abroad program, helping them with universities, helping them with applying colleges. So again, we work closely with academic counselors. So often, we get students who are confused. They are clear that they want to do a study abroad, but they are not sure whether it's going to be an MBA or MS. Again, within MS, what is that I could choose? So academic counselors, they reach out to us where we try to intervene, help them, try to give them this clarity, and then the process goes on.
Okay, so there's a difference. So for parents and students to know that there is a difference between the academic counselor and career counselors, but they do work together to help parents and students. And second, you said about mid-career. Do you really think mid-career professionals also need career counseling? I think probably in India, we've always seen that if you are in a particular role, you actually work in the same role for years until you have a second calling, etc., or a break like you and I had probably had in our careers.
Yeah. So, Mitch, definitely mid-career professionals do have, challenges. So often I get to hear from people about job stagnation or a toxic work environment, job insecurity or layoff, or lack of purpose of job dissatisfaction, and especially re-entering workforce after a career break. They have this problem in facing, they have challenges with their confidence. There's a skill gap, so they always have this problem in finding the suitable job opportunities.
Hmm.
So these are the challenges, I get to hear from mid-career professionals.
Okay. Any specific situation or an example that you would have, like you said, there are challenges on a mid-career professionals. uh, some of them are very common, and some of them very can be very unique. But is there an interesting story or something that you would like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, so I would probably give a small case study. One of my client was like around 38 years old, who was an IT professional. So he was stuck in his role with no promotion for 5 years.
Oh.
So he was in a fix, and he was like, "I'm very well equipped. Why is that I'm not able to get promoted?" So that's when we try to, when I try to help them with trying to understand what is that he was going through. So I tried, understanding that there were a lot of leadership gaps. So we
Okay.
kind of suggested him, to take up a related course or an executive MBA. So that eventually helped him, to
Okay.
getting onto a role that he was looking out for.
Sure. While you're saying this, something interesting that it came across to me, and I would like to ask if you've come across something like this, because I've been in the hiring space. I've been in the recruitment space. So I have a lot of candidates who kind of feel demotivated after they get rejected from the interview, or even at a shortlisting of their CV, etc. On that. In fact, I met a young candidate. I wouldn't say a candidate, but a young professional who just has about 3-4 years of experience about 2 weeks back, and he got rejected in 40 interviews. Right. So
Okay.
have you also come across people like this, and how do you manage? Because I come across this on a day-to-day basis, and saying that why my profile is not getting shortlisted, or why am I getting rejected in the interviews, etc.
Yes, so it is very important for them to understand where their interest lies. So I've always seen professionals, just especially the early professionals, the people or the students or the candidates who have just started working, finishing their college, they try to grab whatever comes on their way. Anything comes up, anybody says anything in LinkedIn, they immediately try to apply for it. So I think you need to see where you're aligned. You need to have the clarity, what is the domain, what again within domain specific, what is that you're looking out for, and then approach accordingly. Rather, so there are empty number of jobs available, there are a lot of vacancies available, but are we aligned to it? That is pretty important. Not just apply anywhere and everywhere. So that is pretty important. That is where I think students or candidates, they fail to see, because the initial criteria is just to get a job, land into a job, then we'll see later. But what
Sure.
eventually happens when you see later, 3 to 4 years down the line, you get used to it, and 10 years down the line, you are like, this was never my interest. Now what am I doing here?
True. True.
So there's a question mark again.
Sure. So does this also kind of lead somewhere? Today, if you today's world, you talk about corporates, employees, all talking about mental health, work-life balance, stress, all of that everybody is going through around it. So does career counseling at this space also helps them in any of these?
Definitely, Mitch. So that is the right question. Definitely, yes. So we do come across, professionals who come to us, when they talking about their stress that they go through in their organization, and for managing their stress and enhancing their well-being, we try to help them to prioritize the work-life balance, setting them boundaries, taking breaks, disconnect from their work to avoid their burnout. We try to help them with practicing mindfulness and relaxation. We try to help them with a technique like breathing, meditation, journaling to reduce their stress, then stay organized, manage time, then maintain a healthy lifestyle, exercise, eat well, get enough sleep, and seek support. Talk to mentors or colleagues or career counselors when they feel overwhelmed, and continuous learning and growth, upskilling and personal development. That increases their confidence and career satisfaction. So
Okay,
these
interesting.
things, Mitch, actually, it might sound to be very simple, like it's all heard, known, but you always need another person's perspective to put it across. That's when there's a spark which comes. Oh yeah, that's probably I need to look into these things. Yeah.
Interesting, yes. And last time when we were speaking, Rukmini, you also brought in the space of the EQ and the emotional intelligence that is attached with it,
Right.
right? So, would you like to throw some light for our audience on that?
Sure, Ramesh. So EQ, that is emotional intelligence, it plays a very crucial role in career growth by enhancing how professionals interact, manage stress, and make decisions. Like for example, a high EQ helps a leader to manage their teams, resolve conflicts, and have a good collaboration, have a positive work culture, better communication and networking, like to understand emotions that improves a workplace relationship and professional connection, helping to stay calm, analyzing situations logically, and avoiding impulsive reaction. So again, resilience. Again, professionals with a very high IQ, they can navigate the changes and setback more effectively. Say if I have to give an example, a manager with a strong EQ can just navigate conflicts and drive productivity without creating a toxic work environment.
Okay. And typically, these sessions are what duration, online, offline? Do you do some, when probably when, I again coming from a recruitment background, when we hire candidates, look at it, we do some psychometric test, etc. So, do you also have something like tools that you kind of use?
Yes. Yes, man. So it is like I would split it as three different steps. So step one, where we try to have the pre-counseling session, where we try to interact with the candidate, say for 30 to 45 minutes. So where have few set of questions that we'd like to understand from the candidate about their interests, their day-to-day activities, their educational background, the family, because everything matters. So many such cases I've seen where the candidate opens up in this 45 minutes of session, whatever challenges that they're facing, that really helps us. Then followed by a online psychometric assessment, which goes on for say 45, 15 minutes, where they are expected to take without any break. And once that test is done, we again connect again back to the candidate. So it's all going to be a one-to-one session. So
Sure.
again, we try to connect with the candidate for next 1.5, 2 hours, and then we try to help them with whatever queries that they had, if it's
Okay.
domain specific, if there's a change of domain, if it is upskilling. So all that we try to discuss then in detail, what aligns to them. And it's not
So,
a short term, it's for a long run.
yeah. So that's what I was coming to. So then after the first three steps, then you would probably handhold the candidate and work with him or her for a longer duration.
Yes,
Could be 3 6 months or maybe
yes.
more.
Generally, though we say it's 3 to 6 months, but I have seen for more than a year, they still come back to us asking if this is fine. You did tell me, but is this okay? This session, this certification, do you validate this? So they do come back, and we try to help them out. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Um, I was only aware of one piece of it from a career counseling perspective, as a recruiter candidate when we have the conversation. But this has a lot more to do it when you're talking about, family, personal stress, relooking at the career, etc. On that. You also spoke about working with women or women especially coming back to work after a break. um, so how is it that different, from working with the mid-career professionals?
So much. So women, they definitely they take career break for family reasons, personal reasons. So when they come back after a sabbatical break, what we have seen in common is they struggle to explain these gaps convincingly in the interviews. Then many women, they experience, we call it as an imposter syndrome. That is, they have the self doubt, after because they are away from the workforce for a while. So am I fit? Can I do it if I come back, come back to this again, to this domain? And lack of awareness about the career, about the current job market demands, that can also have an impact on their job search effect. Then balancing professional commitment with the caregiving responsibilities, be it the children or elderly parents, that remains a challenge again. Fear of burnout due to juggling of work, home responsibilities. So, and women struggle to find roles that aligns with their desired work-life balance. Then they also face challenges when it comes to negotiation. So women returning to work often accept lower salaries than their experience, just due to hesitation in negotiation.
Okay.
So yeah, so these are the challenges that they
Challenges that they
face.
face.
So
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
So have you ever had stories or instance where women is coming back from a break, looking to get back to full-time role, but then probably in your discussion kind of decides that she wants to start on her own, maybe a similar story like yours. Have you seen something like that?
Of course, yes. Because I have seen at least 80% of the women, when they take a break and when they want to come back, they want definitely flexibility. That is a priority image. And of course, there are few women who wants to go back to the same domain, and few of them who wants to explore something different. Again, that aligns to their interest. So most of the time, what I've seen, 80% of the time, women, they want to be a freelancer, entrepreneur, because that helps them very well to manage their house and family front. So
Okay.
all that they need is a twitch to see which domain aligns well with them, and what are
Hmm.
the upskilling that is required. The networking, again, I generally help women, emphasizing more on the networking and mentorship. Get into this professional group of LinkedIn networking, or join a woman networking community like Hen, where where members, they support each other, empower each other. That is very important. So
True.
I try to emphasize on that. Yeah.
Sure. And when we look at women coming back from a break, or you look at women who are already in the career, have you seen any challenges which are different for a women?
Uh, Different in the sense.
So for example, like you said,
Um,
we looked at the mid-career professionals who are probably that's the space that you work in that there is a woman who
mhm.
is stuck there, or vis-a-vis there's a woman who comes back after a break. Do you see a difference of challenges that they have, or do you see a very
Of course,
similar
yes.
challenge for them in the corporate
No,
space?
so the challenges are different, which when it comes to women who's already in the corporate world, it is more about getting stress, burnout, work-life balance, or upskilling, because she's already in the job and she's probably looking out more for more in the professional front or promotion. Whereas a woman who's taken a sabbatical break, who's just trying to get into the profession, get into the corporate world, the
Hmm.
challenges are slightly different. Because I see the confidence level to start off with that is pretty low.
Hmm.
A person who's working for 10 plus 10 odd years, when they try to restart after a 6 or 7 years later or 5 years later, they have this question mark: am I fit? Am I going to do this? And more importantly, what I see is a societal expectation, that creates a guilt about prioritizing a career over family. The pressure from the families and friends that influence the career decision, adding an emotional stress on them.
True, true. I mean,
Yeah.
they probably have a double whammy in that case, if I would say, one is about their career, and the second is a lot to do with society and personal
True.
or family, etc. On that, you've been in this space for what, 7, 8 years now, or
Yes.
more? Yeah,
Almost. Yeah. Yeah.
almost like that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm someone who always pick up stories in the conversations, Rukmani. I love stories on that. So again, any incident or a story that you would have which you think that it's close to your heart?
uh, there
Okay.
are, I mean, every candidate that I interact with
Hmm.
come up with a different perspective. Probably I would take up one of the scenario where I had an opportunity to interact with a dentist who
Okay.
had around 15 to 20 years of experience. And he wanted to, he had his own clinic in Bangalore, and it's been doing very well. And he had his wife to support, he had a team. He had around 5, 6 doctors under him who were working. But he came to me asking me if it is fine if I could pursue an MBA.
Okay.
I said, why? Then he was like, I run a hospital. And I think I need management skill. I have not pursued my MBA. I've done my BDS, MDS, I've done my specialization. But to run a two clinic and hospital somewhere, I think I lack. I'm not able to do it efficiently. Was from his perspective. So I said, okay, let's probably get into a conversation. Let's try to understand what is that, you've been doing all these years. And then when I got to know, so what I realized is, after the conversation, what I realized is MBA was not the criteria for the dentist. He wouldn't need an MBA. Probably he would need a mentor who could help him, who could give them the clarity, who could help them as a business model, how to run these two clinics. So these are the things, uh, I think a professional really helps. I know
Mhm.
when you see from a broader or a wider perspective, it is okay. So, running a hospital, when you have your own entrepreneurship, I think it's good to do an MBA. That's definitely good. You may have value add on. But is it really required? That is where we come in. So we try to evaluate, we try to see is it required, and then we try to give accordingly, our
Uh,
perspective. Yeah.
Great. Now, a question which is completely opposite of this. So we always keep saying that the grass is always greener on the other side, or you're not in my shoes. So as a counselor, that we are talking to someone, venturing them. Do you have an experience of people coming and saying that? But in my life, it's very different, or probably for you, it's easy to say, to look at things from a different angle or a perspective, but then it's very difficult when I'm in my shoes or you're not in my shoes. Have you come across something like that?
Very often, every conversation that starts right from students. And when I tell them, they get, because you always, when you get to interact with those ninth graders and 10th graders, because they are in the verge of, selecting their course, and most, the most anxious, I would say, are the parents who are just right next to them asking a hell lot of questions. So I try to, interact more with the student, with the candidate, to try to understand their interest, so that it doesn't influence the parents, interest and influence on them. So many at times of the ninth graders and 10th graders, when I try talking to them very casually, having a friendly conversation, they are almost stressed. So when you ask them, why are you so much worried about your 10th board exam? You still have 12th. It is just going to be an experience. They are like, you don't know what we are going through.
Going
It
through,
wasn't
yeah.
what it was earlier. Your 10th exam and you did was much better. Now it is so much of competition. I have 11th coming up. I don't know if I will get into this specific school, this course.
True,
So
true.
they are more tensed, and many often I get to hear right from students,
Yeah, true.
saying that you don't know what we are going through.
Sure. And like we said earlier, for the women, right? Especially the ones coming back from a break, there's so much of pressure. I think with students also, there's so much of peer pressure, parents pressure, society pressure building on it, right? I mean, uh, I'm sure it's still the same case, whatever we've been talking on internet everywhere. But anybody who meets a student, so what's your plan? What are you taking next? There's no other question
True,
apart from
true,
that, what next in your life? Right,
true.
so I think students also go through a lot, so I think it's high time that parents
Yes,
realize what a student goes
very
through.
true. And I just want to bring one point in this context, Mish, about this parents and students, since we were talking about it. So I
Yeah.
would like to give that. I keep telling this to parents and students. It is not about choosing a job.
Mm.
It's it is about trying to understand your passion, your strength, your long-term career path. So there is no one right career. So there are many paths that leads to the success. So the goal is to find what fits best,
Mm.
right? So try to understand your personality, your interest, your skills, and that will lead to a better career decision. Yeah, so I think that is pretty important. So I think the students have to make an informed choice, and
Mm.
parents have to support them with clarity and confidence. That is very much important.
Great. I think we are seeing some comments and questions coming in. So, before I move to the last couple of questions that I have for you, we have a question from Lakshita who says, when it comes to entrepreneurs, which soft skills are critical for running a business and which ones are overhyped?
uh, I think to run a business, I think the soft skills would be most important, would be the communication skills, your leadership skills.
Yeah.
That's pretty important.
Mhm.
um,
Anything which is overhyped that you feel? Uh,
uh, mm,
that as a business owner you need to be very friendly, taking care of your team, uh,
I
some
think
bias.
resilience is something which where every now and then, it's a word which has been used.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I mean, I think it comes to us very naturally over a period of time. Been working, being into a family. I think that is part and parcel of our culture. So that is, I think, a much hyped word is what I would say.
Yeah.
Otherwise, soft skill, I think, which is more important, would be more of communication, leadership, teamwork, problem solving, time management.
Sure. Yeah, and Rucha says EQ is super important.
Perfect. Yes. Everything rolls around EQ. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. um, what is that one advice or a tip that you would like to give away today in our session, where people are feeling really stuck in their career, lost?
Uh, so feeling stuck is a signal. It's not a setback, is what I would say, Mitch. So
Okay.
pause and reflect. Identify what's making you feel stuck. Is it lack of growth, interest, or is it the work-life balance? Try to understand your strength and interest. Take career assessments and see what enjoys, what you like to do, and what is that you don't like to do in your current role. Explore new opportunities. Could be research or industries or that skills that align to your passion or interest. Upskill and reskill, very important. Do a lot of courses, certifications, or mentorship. Again, networking, talk to professionals, consult a career counselor again for a clarity, so that you get a proper you know where to focus on.
Focus.
And experiment with the small steps. Take up freelance work before making that big shift, and trust the process. Change takes time, so be patient, open minded, and take one step at a time.
Interesting. Yeah. So when you're looking at anything that is happens in our life, or a circle which is there, we take step by step, right? I mean, even if it's a very complex project or anything that we have, we always kind of do the entire SWOT analysis of it, right? So I think that goes back to our life as well, in terms of uh, like you said, sit back, relax, and see what is it. And probably in my words, I always keep saying the SWOT analysis that you need to do, and
Okay.
then look at it in terms of what is your weakness, what are your strength, and how do you want to get to the next level. So yeah, interesting. Take a pause, and then look at what's the next in our life. Any courses, certification on career counseling or counseling that if someone wants to get into? um,
Yes, Miss. Sure. If somebody wants to get into a counseling or a career counseling, the first step to becoming counselor is to assess whether it aligns to your strength, interest, and passion for guiding others. Because this skill, this domain requires high empathy, adaptability, and interpersonal focus. Which is a person with high empathy, who's empathetic, adaptability, and with high interpersonal interest will find this role very natural. But a person with who's an introvert, who's intuitive, who rules by head, or who does multitasking, they we call them as a deep thinkers. They will have a challenge with emotional connection. Same with the person who's an extrovert, who's ruled by the head, or who's well organized. They're born natural leaders, but they'll be too directive rather than empathetic. So it is best to start with an understanding of your strength. Again, see where you are aligned under counseling. Again, counseling is an umbrella. You have a lot of domains under it. So
yeah.
you have a career counseling, you have a mental health counseling, you have a school counseling, you have a relationship counseling, and the list just goes on. So you need
Yes.
to see where you are aligned.
Yeah.
And then comes the courses or certification,
Interesting.
that they could look into.
Sure. And how much time that as a career counselor that one has to spend in skilling and upskilling themselves?
It would take roughly around 2 to 3 years at least. They should have a proper foundation, do a short-term course.
Mm-hmm.
Then they could go for a proper degree, be a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. Again, it
Mm-hmm.
depends on them. Then they could go for international certification like National Certified Counselor. Then PG Diploma in Guidance and Counseling, MSc in Psychology or Counseling again.
Oh yes,
Then
cycle.
go for a practical experience, then licensing again. If it's for a career counseling, we don't need licensing in India, but if it is going to be a clinical counseling, then definitely you need an RCI, that is
Oh,
Rehabilitation Council of India.
nice. Okay, interesting.
And then you build a career in counseling. Yeah.
Interesting. There's lots that goes in this career as well, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of
Yes.
people will just say, "Oh, they're just a counselor," looking at it, But we've also heard some, memes and the jokes around it, saying that you are trying to solve a problem, listening to us, etc. On that, right? But there's a lot that goes in at the back end, which people do not know in terms of how much of homework that you have to do to help someone, because you're actually guiding them in their career, in their life, etc., right? So that's not a easy task, I would say, on that.
So true.
On that note, let us see if there are any more questions. But thanks so much, Rukmani. I really enjoyed the conversation, and so much that I have taken it from you. One is definitely, we'd say that, feeling stuck is not a stop, but take a pause and then relook at it in terms of what do we need in life. And about the certifications and the courses that you spoke about it, I don't think so I was aware of. There's so much that is available for career counselors as well to study and then look at it. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Mish. It was a wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. So Priyanka saying despite guidance, I feel sometimes it's difficult to make kids understand.
that's true. Yeah,
True, very true, Priyanka. I mean,
definitely.
I've had situations where, you know, I know of kids who are very, very clear on that, or very stubborn on said that this is what I want to study, or this is where I have to go abroad and study. Uh, this is the kind of job I want to do, and things like that. So yeah, sometimes it gets very difficult to manage kids, but yeah.
True, true. So in short, I would just say, Mish, knowing yourself is the beginning of all the wisdom, and the key to a fulfilling career.
Interesting. So, on that note, thank you so much for your time, Rukmini. And
Thank you so
thank you, everyone,
much.
for being here. And we shall see you soon next week. Thank you. Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.